What would you do if someone tells you not to do something just because you're not good enough? Now, if they tell you you're not good enough because you're old enough, you don't listen to them. It's as simple as that. Now, I'm not talking about your parents refusing you that puff of smoke or that sneaky sip of alcohol. I'm talking about real world challenges, like making a difference despite your age. If they say you're too young to volunteer, you lead the NGO. If they say you're too young to create an impact, you change the world. That's how my story goes. Let's rewind to 2 years ago when COVID reigned supreme. All of us were curled up in the corner of our rooms, hoping to God that we wouldn't contract anything. Gen Z took this time to become obsessed with their phones, and guess what? So was I. Was it for endlessly scrolling through Instagram? Absolutely. But here's the twist. My friends' feeds were filled with bizarre cooking challenges and whatnot, but my feed was filled with hospitals, beds, oxygen, contacts for essential personnel, and whatnot. Then came that fateful night. The phone rang. A elderly couple from North Bangalore had reached out, crying and shrieking for help. I could almost hear the husband gasping for breath. He wanted to be stretched across to the hospital, but there were none available. No hospitals, no bed, no oxygen, and no hope. Little did he know that a 15-year-old girl would breathe life into him quite literally, as she made calls after calls that night, leaving no stone unturned. And despite all odds, she made it. But her journey did not end there. She went on to save 849 lives in Karnataka, 124 lives across other states, in addition to her beneficiary count of 27,000 people. That's the person you're going to be listening to for the next few minutes. The young girl turned young leader, determined to make a difference no matter what her age. I'm an 18-year-old philanthropist and a young change maker. But the journey to get here was seldom easy. My abilities were underestimated and my efforts were undervalued. It was like playing a game of snakes and ladders, just when you think you're getting right to the top, you find yourself right back at the start. But what seemed like a handicap to me was indeed my strength. I could think more freely, more openly, and more creatively than my older colleagues. And over the years, this perspective helped me bag a lot of management positions at various NGOs across India and allowed me to collaborate with top Ivy League universities like Harvard, Stanford, Cambridge on academics and debate. Moving on, I did miss out on some fleeting childhood moments. The partying phase, the sneaking out, the laid-back backbencher phase. But I wasn't preparing to win the war, was I? I was preparing to win the battle. I mean, who needs a midnight snack run when you're planning world domination, right? I remember this one moment when I felt utmost joy, when some kids came running up to me, embraced me in a big warm hug, and just asked me to be there for them. That's when I realized that one empowered me wasn't enough. I wanted every child to be as empowered and aware as I was. Perhaps being this leader that I aspired to be did mean that I had to make a little sacrifice, not so little, my mental health. People often asked me if I had more than 24 hours in a day, taking up so many things, volunteering, academics, research, cultures, and really whatnot. I replied by saying, see, I'm not a time traveler. I just drink a lot of coffee. But despite all of this, what kept me going was that even if I'd reached the sky, I knew I had a whole galaxy to explore and conquer. As the saying goes, change starts from within, right? But what about the change makers? Are they really born with the ability to transform societies? Or are they shaped, molded, and nurtured by the environment around them? During my time at the United Nations Young Leaders Training Program, I encountered an enlightening discourse on the Sustainable Development Goals. We were asked to answer a series of questions evaluating the present scenario of the world. Surprise, surprise, my answers deviated from what the present scenario was. This discrepancy opened my eyes to how my perceptions were influenced by the ecosystem around me. Then I knew, to change the world, you must first truly know it. This brings us to the concept of factfulness propagated by Hans Rosling, where he says that one must view the world without any distortions. He also emphasizes on the fact that one's perceptions are always skewed by the information ecosystem that he or she is always a part of. How many of you are parents here? Can I have a raise of hands? A lot of you. Might I remind you that every young leader's journey starts right from home with the foundation laid by their parents. My parents celebrated every small victory of mine. Yes, even the time when I kept my room clean for a week straight. They also allowed me to explore various paths from painting to singing. Thankfully, they had earplugs on. But the ideology of theirs helps me inculcate a growth mindset which allowed me to appreciate every small touch point of impact I made within the volunteering ecosystem. Sadly, a lot of parents fall trapped to the negativity instinct, succumbing to extreme successes. Anything less than perfection, sorry, you're a failure. It's like expecting your child to go straight from learning to walk to running a marathon. Really? But now we're starting to see a shift. Modern parents are starting to embrace small victories over mass achievements and success. It is the basic difference between recognizing an A+ grade or recognizing the consistent efforts that turns your C's into B's. Parenting may have been the warm-up act, but the main event is definitely educating the child. The education system has succumbed to the gap instinct, segregating students into smart and dumb, inadvertently sidelining those who diverge from the conventional academic mold. Yet, what often goes unnoticed is the vast majority of individuals who fall within the spectrum of average intelligence, patiently waiting for their opportunity for their unique skills to be honed and nurtured. To mitigate this, we now have a growing recognition of vocational and alternative talents in schools to ensure that every child shines in their own way, knowing that as a young leader, they might just have their own niche. But no matter how groundbreaking the changes are in an education system, peer influence remains its unspoken engine. The urgency instinct, fueled by the fast-paced nature of modern life and the influence of social media, has led to increased impulsive decision-making, especially amongst the youth. How many of you here have bought a ridiculous gadget over a late-night infomercial just because it's asking you to? Any of you here? I think a couple of us have done that, right? That's exactly what urgency instinct is about. Peer pressure, whether overt or subtle, can exacerbate this tendency as individuals may want to conform to societal expectations or norms. However, the very same peers can also act as a counterbalance to this impulsivity by promoting critical thinking. For instance, my initial apprehensions about not fitting into the society led me to make detrimental choices about who my friends were. But over the years, surrounding myself with peers who shared my values and aspirations not only motivated me to pursue my ambitions further, but also enabled a few of them to join me in my journey. Not all of us can be defined as cursory components to these young individuals, right? We may be broadly categorized as a society that shapes only the norms for their upbringing. But within this societal framework lies multiple intuitions, influences, and perceptions that shape the trajectory of their lives. Usually, the community around the youth blames them for not fitting into certain norms, ignoring other factors at play. This creates an environment where the child feels judged and unsupported. But a better understanding, acknowledging these factors, would create an environment where a young leader could not only thrive, but be nurtured. It's amazing how far you can go when people stop seeing you as the kid who just can't reach the top shelf and start seeing you as the kid who just might change the world. At every instance, I disprove the notion that only those in influential positions can make a difference. I reinforce that anyone, regardless of their status or background, can positively impact the lives of others and break barriers. And to do this, the ecosystem around me played a vital role in negating distortions as well as in nurturing me as a young leader. So the next time someone tells you that you're too young to change the world, remember this. Age is only a barrier in the mind. You're never too young to change the world. So start today and create your legacy. Thank you.